What's good with y'all YouTube, man? We back again, and today we will be continuing our all-decade teams with the 2010s. This is the era of basketball where I really got into hoops, bro. This is where, like, to me, this is my opinion, the best era of basketball that we've ever seen, both with talent and then the growth of the game. Like, just, maybe that's nostalgia. It might be nostalgia, I'm not gonna lie. But this is that era of basketball. Like, this is right around when I first got into basketball. It was like 2K10 was the first 2K that I really played. The one with Kobe on the cover, bro. I'll never forget. Like, so it was right around this era was when I first started playing basketball. I mean, first started getting into watching hoops like that for real. So this was what I'm excited to do. And not surprisingly at all, this ended up being a super tough one. Like, there were a lot of guys where, like, outside of the first team, even with one position on the first team, there were a lot of guys that I just, like, debated, and there were a lot of guys that got left off this list that had some accolades, that averaged some crazy stuff in this era. There was some stuff that it was like, dang, this happened right at 2020 where it's not included, so I can't include it, stuff like that. This list isn't perfect, and I'm not trying to claim it's perfect or anything like that, so if y'all have something that y'all want to change on this list, I would love for y'all to leave it in the comments, because like I said, this was a stupidly difficult video. These were some stupidly difficult lists to decipher, so if y'all want to say, hey, I'm wrong or something, or if I forgot somebody, or if you make a case for somebody that I left off being somewhere, or somebody on the third team being on the second team, or whatever, leave it in the comments, bro. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know, because this is stuff right here that I spent time deciphering between. I was going through basketball reference pages and different articles and stuff, seeing, like, how much should I really be valuing certain things. So with all that being said, bro, oh yeah, one warning I need to give y'all. I will not be getting y'all a video tomorrow, which is Saturday, as y'all are watching this, because I'll be making a 12-hour drive, and as y'all are seeing this on Friday, I just had an endoscopy, so, you know, I knew I wouldn't feel like recording after that. So yeah, nothing big, just a normal endoscopy. Like, they just, you know, the stomach thing be tripping, so they just making sure I'm all cool and everything. But I've been all cool for some months. It's just a checkup. Don't worry if y'all's worried. Alright, probably wasn't worried, but you feel me? Anyways, so just like with the last video, I'll be doing 3 teams, and the teams will be based on what those players did during this era. It won't be based on their whole career, and they just played in the 2010s. It'll be based on what they did during this era. Okay? Okay. So with the first team, Steph at the 1, obvious. James Harden at the 2, obvious. LeBron James at the 3, obvious. Kevin Durant at the 4, because some of y'all might say, oh, well, not because, but some of y'all might say, oh, Kevin Durant's a 3, blah, 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 and I kind of think of him more as a 3, but he has genuinely played both. I know most of the 4, he was, like, you know what I'm saying, he was really, that was kind of Brooklyn and Phoenix, I get that, but I don't care. I had to put him up here at the 4. I couldn't put him on the second team. It would genuinely feel blasphemous to not have Kevin Durant on the first team for the 2010s. Like, literally, I would have moved LeBron up to the 2 and put KD at the 3 if y'all would have made me do it. Like, I don't care. I don't give a damn. But I think those top 4 players are pretty inarguable. Steph, James Harden, LeBron, and KD. I don't think you can really argue those 4 being on the first team at all. At the 5, I'm going with someone who I didn't anticipate to put at the number 1 spot on this list, but I am going to put him at the number 1, or not as the number 1 center on this list, as a guy I didn't anticipate to put up here, but I'm going to put him up here. Dwight Howard. I'm going to preface this by saying this is by far the weakest position for this decade. I thought about guys like AD. I thought about guys like Boogie Cousins. I thought about guys like Tim Duncan. I thought about plenty of guys in this spot over Dwight Howard. But looking at the accolades and everything, it's just kind of like, yeah, I can't not put him up here. He has 2 DPOYs in this decade. Now, some of y'all that might have watched my last video, you're sitting here, you're thinking, well, you say he had 2 DPOYs in the last decade, but he only has 3 in his career, so something's not adding up. I was being a dummy. I wasn't including the 99-2000 season, but I was including the 2009-2010 season. I should have flipped it. I should have included the 99-2000 season and not included the 2009-2010 season. I was being a dummy. That's on me. So yeah, the one of his DPOYs, the one that came in 2009-2010, should not have counted in my last video, and I'm going to count it in this video because I made a mistake then. Even with that, he still would have been on that team, the second team, I think it was, on that last video, because he still just had that much of an impact at that time, even though it was only like a few years at the end of the 2000s, but I just wanted to let y'all know I made a mistake. That's on me. That's why the math isn't mathing. He has 5 All-Star selections, 5 All-NBA teams, 3 defensive first-team selections, and like I said, 2 DPOYs in just the first 5 years of this decade, which was crazy. Like, he literally, after that, the fall-off was sharp. You could argue all after, like, 2012, the fall-off was sharp after that, but it was enough because this position was just that weak in this decade. For the second team, at the point guard spot, I'm going with Russell Westbrook. Some of y'all might say CP3, but I genuinely don't give a damn. I want Russ, and I honestly don't think I have to explain this selection. I think most of y'all will agree with me, but I will explain this selection. Russ and CP3 both have never done too much in the playoffs. Both have been to the finals. Neither one of them was the best player on their team when they went to the finals, but both have went as number 2 options. But not, outside of that, neither one of them has ever done much in the playoffs, but both are considered to be among the best point guards ever. Russ has the MVP. Russ had those triple-double numbers that people never thought we would see. Like, they thought those Oscar Robertson numbers were going to be something that we never saw eclipsed, and then Russ did that and did even more. And now the triple-double is like something we don't even give a damn about, basically. But, yeah, so give me Russ. I'm taking Russ, and I don't care what anybody has to say about Chris Paul. I'm taking Russ, okay? Okay. At the 2, another guy that I didn't expect to be taking this high, but I'm not mad at it because, as you can see by, hold on, he's my second favorite. He's my favorite player of all time, Kobe Bean Bryant. He won a ring, Finals MVP, 4-time All-NBA, 3-time All-Defense, and 7-time All-Star in this decade. Because remember, this includes 2009-2010 season, so it includes that second championship, the one where he beat Boston, his last ring. Okay, okay. And I know that 2016, oh well, he wasn't really an All-Star. It was just because blah blah blah. He was retiring. I don't give a damn if it counts as an All-Star selection. It counts as an All-Star selection. Dwayne Wade had an honorary one. Dirk in his last year got one too. I don't give a damn. Okay. Kobe Bryant. I thought about Clay, thought about PG, thought about D-Wade heavy, but I have to go with Kobe here. At the 3, it's obviously Kawhi Leonard, another guy where it's like, damn, this era was so good that he's not even on the first team, but trust me, it was no doubt about him here. Him and Russ were the 2 guys where it was really no doubt to me about them here. At the 4 and at the 5, I also didn't expect to go this way at the 4. I thought I was going to go somewhere else. I did think about guys like Dirk. I did think about guys like Duncan. Those guys have more accolades and rings in this era than the guy who I'm going to say. Not necessarily more accolades, but they have more rings in this era than the guy I'm going to say, and they have more All-Star selections, All-NBA, all that stuff. But this guy does have a DPOI, so that's why I'm saying not necessarily more accolades, but definitely more rings. And these were the guys that originally came to my mind. But talent and actual play matters in these rankings just as much as those accolades do, which is why I'm taking Giannis Antetokounmpo here at the 4. And then another guy that I thought about taking in this position, but I played him at the 5 instead. I'm going with Anthony Davis. Oh yeah, and for Giannis, he was a DPOY. I think he was like I don't remember the exact numbers because I low-key forgot to write them down because I must have just been in a hurry or something. I was just being lazy. That's my fault. But I want to say he was like a 3-time All-Star or maybe 1-time, 2-time All-NBA. This was right before his MVP year and the DPOY year where he won them in the same year. Or did he? I don't think he won another DPOY, but this was right before his MVP year. So, yeah, I think those are, like, the main accolades. He's probably All-Defense twice in here as well. Like, he was in there. But at the 5, I'm going with AD, who at this time was a 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA, and 3-time All-Defense. Again, I thought about Boogie Cousins here, but I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. I did think about Boogie Cousins. Like, Boogie Cousins is one of those guys where it's like he should be up here. Like not mentioning him would be disgusting to me. He should be up in the top 2 teams. But it's like, damn, when you put Giannis at the 4 and you put AD at the 5, because he genuinely played that for a long time. Now, I know in his Pelican days he was a 4, but at the end of that, he started to play a little more 5, and definitely with the Lakers he played a lot of 5. Now, I know that was in the 2020s, but I put him at the 5, and I don't think it's blasphemous to put him at the 5, bro, but it's like, I don't know, not having Boogie Cousins on those top 2 teams feels disrespectful to me because people forget how good Boogie Cousins was, and I feel like he's one of those disrespected NBA players from this era. But anyways, I went with Anthony Davis. For the 3rd team, I'm going CP3 at the 1, and it's kind of crazy that this era is so good that he fell to the 3rd team, and he didn't make the 2000s team at all. Like, that just shows that he fell at some crazy eras, bro. But, you could argue Kawhi. I mean, you could argue Kyrie. You could argue, not really argue, but you could definitely argue Kawhi. I mean, can I speak English? You could argue Kyrie, and I thought about Dame just because those guys came to mind also when I was thinking about point guards, but it's pretty clearly CP3 here if you ask me. I'm not going to go into accolades too much because I think it's pretty clear, but I think if y'all wanted to go look it up and you looked up those accolades, I think you would agree with me as well. At the 2, I'm going with D-Wade. Now, I heavily thought about Clay here, thought about PG here, and you could honestly argue either one. You could probably argue Clay better than PG because he has those 3 rings. But I like this being D-Wade. He won 2 rings in this era to Clay's 3. He was an 8-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, 1-time All-Defense. I did not peep that he had 8 All-Star selections in this decade. I did not think it would be that many. I thought it would be like 6, but he has 8. At the 3, I'm going with Carmelo Anthony, another one of those guys that feels like a super disrespected legend to me. Like him and, well, Boogie Cousins isn't really a legend, but Carmelo is a legend, and he's one of those guys that I feel like gets so disrespected. He was an 8-time All-Star, a scoring champ, and 3-time All-NBA during this decade alone. Keep in mind, his career started in 2003. So this decade was right around 7 years into his prime. 7 years into his career, so he was like just entering his prime, maybe a little outside of his prime. And this man still was an 8-time All-Star, scoring champ, and 3-time All-NBA. Now, some of y'all might say Nuggets was better than Knicks Melo. I might agree with you. If I went to look at it and thought about it for a long time, I might even agree with you. But guess what? That just makes this even more impressive. Now, if you want to slide PG down to include him into this conversation, I don't hate it. But to me, he's more of a 2, which makes this very clearly Melo, and I don't think there's too much of a debate. Unless you want to slide somebody like Blake Griffin up to the 3 and kind of think about him a little bit. But no, because he didn't play 3. Carmelo deserves this spot. And even if it was Blake Griffin, Carmelo deserves this spot. Okay? At the 4, I'm going with Dirk. Again, thought about Blake Griffin, but the championship and finals MVP take it for me. He was also 6-time All-Star and 3-time All-NBA. And the thing about Blake Griffin that was so enticing was not just the numbers, was not just the accolades, but it was also the fact that Pistons season came in this era. And that boy, and that Pistons season, y'all might not remember because, he was on the Pistons and, it was Blake Griffin. That boy was a dog. I think it was 2018, 2019 on the Pistons. He was cooking. That was when the power forward position was in the midst of dying. And what did he do? He evolved his game and was cooking. Anyways, at the 5, a guy that y'all probably thought I left out because I got a phone call. A guy that y'all probably thought I left off but I didn't, because keep in mind at this time, this guy was mostly playing center. Tim Duncan. Y'all might think of him as a 4, and I think of him as a 4 too, but at this time he was playing center, Tim Duncan, and that's why I was saying it hurts so much to leave Boogie Cousins off, because Boogie Cousins deserves to be on this list. He deserves to be somewhere in these top 15 guys. But I couldn't put him there. I couldn't justify putting him above Tim Duncan, who was a 2-time champion, 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, and 2-time All-Defense. And you're thinking, well, that's just 2 and 3 times. But that's 2 rings, and he was a pivotal piece in those rings. The 2014 Spurs might have been the best version of basketball, the prettiest version of basketball that we ever saw. Now, an all honorable mention list: Boogie, Clay, Kyrie, Blake, DeRozan, Draymond. She calls it all the time. Draymond, LaMarcus Aldridge, Jimmy Butler, D Rose, and both Powell and Marc Gasol. Now, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for watching this video, bro. Like I said, no video tomorrow, but I love y'all and I appreciate y'all so much for watching this video, bro. I hope y'all stay blessed, stay praying, keep God first always. He's got you no matter what you're going through. No matter how many times you sin, no matter how many times you fall back, bro, keep going back to him, bro. God loves you and I love you too. All right? Thank y'all.